Good morning, high school. It is Monday, February 1st, and just like that, we are already 1 month through 2021. The longer we've been in quarantine, away from our normal rhythms of school and our normal schedule and routine, the more I realize I've drifted pretty far from many of the habits and practices that I'd worked to develop over the years. I didn't realize how important the schedule and routine of the school day, the rhythm of the school week, the interaction and encouragement from my colleagues on campus and the people I work with, those things are all really important to helping me keep on task and keep up with the things I want to do, the things I know that are good for me to do and that I want to do in my life. I can look back here 1 month into 2021 and realize I've read fewer books than I normally do. I've exercised less than I normally do. I've eaten worse than I normally do. I've not done many of the things that I want to do and I know I should. A month ago, when the new year started, some of you may have made resolutions and decided that for 2021, I'm going to do something different or do something better. I'm going to develop a habit that I wish I had, or I'm going to give up a habit that I wish I didn't have. And if you're like most people who made resolutions, you might have already given up. No matter how much we feel like we've got it all together and we've got our lives going, we're never doing as much as we feel like we want to be doing. We're never as good as we feel like we should be. And maybe you, like me, feel that after all these months of being separated and being away and being in quarantine, that gap is a lot bigger than it normally is. That can be really frustrating. It can be really discouraging to feel like you're not doing something that you feel like you should, that you know there are better things to be doing that you're not doing, and that you know that there are things that you really shouldn't be doing that you are doing with your time. My class might be tired of hearing about it, but we've been reading a book called Virtuous Minds that talks about the intellectual habits that you can develop in your life. And after 10 chapters of the author talking about what intellectual virtues are and explaining why they're important, this week we read the chapter where he encourages us to do something about developing those virtues. There are a lot of different tips and advice that he gives in this chapter, but they all basically boil down to do something about it. Make an intentional choice about moving in that direction. It can be super discouraging when you look at where you are and see how far you want to get, and you might not want to make any steps. You might feel like it's not worth it, that goal is too far away, I can't see how I'm going to get myself there. But the distance shouldn't discourage you. Instead of thinking about getting from 1 to 100 all in one go, think about how I can get from maybe 1 to 6 or 1 to 9. And then when you get there, worry about the next steps. My habits and routines are very far away from where they were a year ago, when the structure and rhythm of school helped me organize my life better and keep to more of a rhythm and a schedule. And even then, they were not where I wanted them to be if I had my choice. I was far away from doing the things I always wanted to do and avoiding the things I didn't want to do. I'm not going to be able to make up that distance all at once to get myself from where I am to where I was or even where I want to be. It's not going to happen all in one go. What I can do is to think about the direction I want to move in, take a step, make one decision that's going to get me a little bit closer to where I want to be, move me a little bit farther away from where I am in the direction I want to go. Take a single step, make a single decision, and then worry about what comes next. As I talk to people who make resolutions, all those people who tend to give them up in the first month, people are more likely to give up on resolutions when they make a whole bunch of them all at once. They look at a new year and say, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to exercise 3 times a week, I'm going to act a certain way in relationships, I'm going to learn a new language, I'm going to read X number of books, etc., etc., etc. And then when one of those pieces falls, they get discouraged and give up on the whole collection of resolutions that they made. 1 week where they don't work out as often as they want, and they say, well, that's a bust, and they give up on everything else as well. Quite often, the people who are able to stick to their resolutions or stick to their decisions are the ones who don't make big, lofty goals that include lots of things. They make one single small manageable goal. They stick to it, they can accomplish it, and then you feel successful about it because you met your goal. And then you feel better and you feel more like you're able to accomplish more steps in that goal. So don't look at the big picture all at once. Break it down, take one little piece, make one little step. February 1 is as good a time to make a resolution as January 1. So think about where you're at, think about where you'd like to get, and then in that direction, take one little step. Make one little move, one little decision that'll move you from where you are to where you'd like to be. Once you've made that first step, take a minute to recognize your accomplishment and to celebrate, and then take a second step, and then a third. And before too long, quarantine or not, school or not, you'll be able to look back and see that you've actually made progress just by taking that first step. Stay safe, stay sane. I feel like I should say something about the journey of 1,000 miles beginning with a single step.